The facts can no longer be denied, not even by the White House. The Benghazi massacre could have been prevented. With me, House Intelligence Committee member, Congressman Devin Nunes. Congressman, good evening. Did the administration lie to us?
Well, not only did they lie, Judge, but they continue to lie. And, we are still waiting for witnesses to show up. We're still waiting for phone records. It's very, very frustrating. I know the American people are frustrated, but I really appreciate you staying on this issue.
Well, Congressman, not many of us were surprised at what happened. I mean, it just, made sense based on the pieces that Americans were putting together. But this came so late in the game because the administration chose to lie over and over. The families would have gotten closure a lot sooner had they not done that.
Well, and what's sad is I think they're doing this to cover up their Middle East strategy. So their narrative was that Al-Qaeda was on the run. And I find it rather ironic that Al-Qaeda's in Syria, Al-Qaeda's in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Qaeda's in Egypt, Al-Qaeda's in Syria,
in the Maghreb, right.
Al-Qaeda's in Tunisia, Al-Qaeda's in is now moving into Boko Haram in Nigeria. Al-Qaeda is everywhere except where? Benghazi. So not believable.
So was the fake scenario manufactured to cover up an incompetent or hapless foreign policy in the Middle East?
Well, my guess that it's made up to cover up the entire policy from Pakistan all the way to Morocco. But the issue here is with Benghazi specifically, they knew that night that it was Al-Qaeda. They knew that. The people on the ground knew that. The State Department knew that. The military knew that. And it seems like everybody seems to know it except for the New York Times and the White House. And it's just not believable.
But, Congressman, what can we do about the lies? I mean, you've got a committee of Democrats and Republicans saying this was not about a video. We've got a drone. We've got all kinds of surveillance cameras. Will the American people ever see the cameras and what happened, that there was no spontaneous declaration? Will we ever get to the bottom of it?
We are slowly getting there, and remember what we have to do. We have to go to the administration, and we have to ask them for the videos. We have to ask them for the phone records.
And what do you think the chances of that
witnesses. Well, no, I just reviewed for the first time the videos in their entirety. So I was able to watch the drone feed and all the closed-circuit cameras from that night. I just did that about a week ago.
And now we are waiting on some.
I did not see any spontaneous protest, but we've known that from the reports. I mean, the CIA said that from the beginning. There was no protest on behalf of a video. But now we are still waiting for witnesses. We are waiting for key witnesses from both the military and the CIA that still need to come forward. We're still waiting for phone records.
And Congressman,
so it's very frustrating.
I have to close here in a minute, but it appears that 15 Libyans have been murdered who have cooperated with us in terms of getting information to us about what happened in Benghazi.
Well, you bring up a very important point, and that is the killers are still on the run. And by the way, some of those killers are known Al-Qaeda operatives.
Exactly.
And they're still on the run.
All right. Congressman Nunes, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
My pleasure, Jeanine. Thank you.
And now moving on. Remember that investigation into the IRS targeting Obama's political enemies? Surprise, surprise, no charges are going to be filed. Republicans are outraged. Here's Congressman Jim Jordan.
Now we learn it wasn't even the FBI doing the investigation. It's some lawyer in the Civil Rights Division, who gave $6,000 to the Obama campaign, and they tell us, oh, no one's been criminally responsible. No one did anything wrong here. It is just an outrage and a joke of an investigation.
So is he right? And will this administration ever hold anyone accountable for anything? With me, Republican strategist Tony Sayegh and Democratic strategist Joe Trippi, both Fox News contributors. Good evening, gentlemen. Joe, last week I criticized the appointment of a hate crimes prosecutor, who Jordan was just referring to as a civil rights prosecutor, who's an Obama devotee for investigating the IRS debacle. This week it's over. What happened?
Well, they didn't say it's over. They've said there's no reason yet that they don't see any laws that have been broken, and that they don't intend yet to bring any charges if no laws have been broken, which they say have not happened. All these groups the terms that were looked at were progressive, health care reform, Tea Party. It went beyond just Tea Party and conservative groups that ran into this problem with the IRS, and it's not clear. It's becoming clear that there was no law that was broken.
Joe, are you concerned that there was a disproportionate number of Tea Party conservatives compared to the other groups? I mean, there's no question that there were a couple of progressive liberal groups that were looked at, but it's disproportionate, was it not?
Well, it was disproportionate for a couple reasons. I mean, like they were doing the same thing to marijuana reform groups, medical marijuana groups. It's more, I think, that let's, if you really look at it, what were groups that were forming all over the country? Where was this impulse coming from? Well, it was much bigger Tea Party movement
so
than
you're saying
any other
more the
movement.
Tea Party were applying. Okay, Tony.
We're applying, yes.
Judge, I actually forgot that we were even arguing the fact that there was clearly wholesale targeting of conservative groups. This is clearly proven. You have 200 conservative, Tea Party, pro-family, pro-Israel groups versus 8 that have progressive and some sort of other liberal agenda.
The numbers were something like that.
I think Joe may be right if the proportion of the both were the same, but it's not. It's obviously overwhelmingly against conservatives, number one. Number two, let's talk about Barbara Bosserman, this Department of Justice Civil Rights Unit Division attorney who's a known Obama mega donor, thousands of dollars.
She makes $150,000 a year. She gives $6,500 to Obama. Does that bother you, Joe? Joe, I like you, Joe. Does that bother you?
I like him too.
But Judge, you know this. You know that they can't look at who they can't look at political contributions of who they're assigning to cases.
Joe, are you kidding? You don't think there's someone in the White House or on the campaign committee who's going to Google and find out what this person did? That's too easy.
I'm asking you as a judge, would you do that?
No, I wouldn't do it as a judge, but I'm not running for office.
But let's go further.
I'm not a politician.
But let's go further into what Joe said.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, let's go back to what Joe said. So Joe said that, no, she didn't say there's no criminal charges yet. Yes, she did. This has been leaked in the Wall Street Journal. And the irony is they haven't even concluded the report, number one. Number two, she's not interviewed anybody.
The whole
How
thing
could
is
you
crazy.
conclude this without interviewing
here's the thing.
victims?
I like Jim Comey, who's the head of the FBI. I mean, he is an honorable guy. What the hell is he doing putting someone from the hate crimes unit to involve the to do an investigation of the IRS when the FBI hasn't even spoken to any of the victims? But you know what? Let's go on. I want you, Joe, to... This is a clip of then Senator Obama talking about spying on Americans.
This administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we provide. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens.
All right. We know he lied about health care. The Senate committee now says Benghazi was preventable. And when he allowed Clapper to perjure himself and say we don't spy on Americans, I think he allowed another lie or perjury to occur. I mean, is he lying about this too? The NSA stuff, Joe?
No, look, I think the fact is, as president, you've got to balance national security and privacy. And I don't think there's any way any president can win on this right now. No matter how much you try to modify what's going on, that puts national security at risk, and on the right, you're going to get attacked for that.
Yeah, but...
And on the left, there's people like me who still, on the left, you get attacked because any changes he made, I mean, come on, they were ridiculous in terms of actually doing anything to change
that's why I like it. Tony,
privacy.
Add to that.
He's actually being defended by the right. A lot of the former Bush guys who he criticized are coming out and sticking up for him. His problem is, as Joe points out, within his own party and the public, 70% of the American people are against this whole telephone program. And also in his party, he had 111 congressmen, Judge, Democratic congressmen, out of 194, vote for an amendment to basically defund the NSA because of what happened in the Ed Snowden situation.
And you know what? what? If it weren't for Snowden, I got to tell you, we wouldn't know any of this stuff, and yet they hunted him down like a dog. Anyway, Joe Trippi, Tony Sayegh, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks.
Great to see you, Joe.
All right. And coming up, you demanded it. More on the vulnerability of America's power grid.